Hey y'all. Okay. Super exciting. Today on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show, we are coming to you live with another live coaching session. Y'all have continued to speak up to let me know that y'all love the live coaching sessions, and so as much as I do, so I am going to keep them coming, and I'm excited about it. So today we have an amazing friend and colleague, and I love this person, and so I'm really excited for her to be on the show today on this live coaching session. We will get started right after this. Dr. Eugene.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. We were just talking about backstage, you and I, about like Florida and just weather and just beaches and sand. And so it's a nice way to start a coaching session, thinking about something that you love. And so I'm excited about that. And I'm excited to be with you today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, as you know, viewers, coaching is a mechanism between two people where the coach supports the coachee to get from A to where they want to be. And that's what we're going to do in this session. So, Autumn, I am here for you. My goal is to just be able to support you in talking about, I believe we're going to talk about career transitions, but you're going to actually tell us a little bit more about that as we get this session started. So, I just wanted to let you know that. Awesome. All right. So, what is it that you are bringing to our coaching session today?
I feel that I am, as you mentioned, at a crossroads in my career. I've been in higher education and college, professors, financial aid, a whole bunch of stuff, but mostly as a professor for many, many years. And I'm not sure if I want to continue down the path. I absolutely love it. It's who I am. I enjoy being in the classroom. It's a genuine passion of mine. But I'm not sure if I should start to journey down a different path and take my expertise or some of my knowledge and venture in a different direction. I kind of seem to be at like a standstill or stagnant in my career options and opportunities, and just kind of, I guess, need a springboard or some help in making some of those pivotal decisions, pivotal moves to know I'm ready to make the jump, or that I can do the jump.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned a couple things that you're at a crossroads. You said crossroads, you said pivotal moment, springboard. And when I think about all those things, I think about change, right? I think about the possibility of change. Um, are you in a place where you're ready for change?
Yeah, yeah. As I've been looking at different job opportunities and job postings, I look at it with a different lens. I have met with a couple of different individuals to see what possibilities might be out there. I've done a few different CEUs just to kind of see if getting a certificate or a training in this might nudge me towards something else, or if it's a good collaborative effort. I finished a recent values executive education certification with in a local university here, and it had a lot of the information and training that I had received from my coaching program.
Mm.
And so I thought, okay, well, this connects, this melds. Or even looking at, if I didn't just teach in the discipline that I'm currently in, could I branch to a different discipline? How can I sidestep, not in a bad way, but understand that what I'm trained in also benefits other majors and universities. So just kind
Yeah.
of trying to see how that might lead me in a new opportunity.
Okay. So you're open to just different options, and that's what you've been actually exploring
Hmm.
as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of our time together, what would you like to leave the session with?
Um, I think helping me get a probably a clearer perspective on should I stay in the path of just putting all my energy or effort into staying within the teaching realm,
Okay.
or should I possibly try something else? I did complete my ICF certification, so I have that. I have all
Woo-hoo.
the training, so I haven't gone down that path yet, but
Okay.
it's still in the back burner. I think that there's still some hesitation. You know, you feel that imposter syndrome where, like, okay, I haven't been doing it for a while. Could I get back out in there and do it? Can I, is that something that I can do? And I think that there's some hesitation there. So
Mm.
maybe helping me see that that is still an option and that it could be a good fit for me. So I think that seeing what are some possibilities and helping me take
Mm.
that next step.
I love that. I love that. And congratulations, first of all, on passing your ICF certification. I mean, it's a big deal. And like you said, if you haven't been doing it as much for a while, you were able to come back and you still know it, right? You still know it. And so okay, we can go down that journey. So tell me why right now in your life this is important.
um, because I felt in the last, sometimes you feel like you've hit that plateau in your profession,
Mhm.
and that is this all I do, or is this something, is there more?
Mm.
I started to feel, I guess, deflated in my last position. I was really deflated and missed the interactions, missed actually helping individuals. And I think that that's one thing I enjoy about being a professor, and I love the aspect within coaching is just generally being there as an authentic person for someone. And my last opportunity, it wasn't, I didn't have that. And I think
Mm.
that that made me second guess a lot of stuff and having to step back and redefine what am I actually good at.
Mm.
After a couple of years of feeling that deflation, you start to wonder, what do I bring to the table? What are my strengths and so forth? It's easy to know when you're in a good fostering environment, but when you're in an environment that doesn't foster and you don't
Mm.
flourish and feel that support, you start to say, okay, am I really not good at this, or what else is out there? And I think that my brain just kind of shut down.
Mm.
I lost all connection to an identity, and I think that that's what's important. I need to feel that sense of purpose again. I need to know that I can, I have my purpose, but how is it going to be able to be redefined?
Yeah, wow. Well, I'm sorry that that happened. I mean, I know it's very difficult when you're in a job and you're like, okay, so what happened here? Right? Like, well, where did my sense of purpose, where did any of this actually go for me? So, um, but at the end of the day, you're doing the right thing with trying to figure out your next steps and your next moves.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would have to change in you or around you in order for you to reach your goal of getting a clearer perspective about making a decision about teaching or something else?
That's probably one of the most powerful questions, and that's one I grapple with every day. A lot of people depend on me. And
Mm.
I think their dependence and having to work around their schedules, it limits some of my options because I have to be there for them. I have to support them, and I have to have that flexibility. And so it kind of prevents some options or opportunities. I think the other thing with what would probably have to change, or even within me, is just saying, you know what, just go for it. Go, just give it a try. The worst that can happen is they say no, or it didn't work, but at least you try. And I always tell myself that I don't believe in failure if you try, because trying is trying. Failing is not actually giving it a shot. So I think for me is just sitting down and saying, all right, well, if maybe you want to do the coaching, what would be a job that you would like to apply to? What would you want to do? Who do you want to work with? And kind of the parameters. So maybe creating a list and then kind of narrowing that down, perhaps.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Okay. So you've said a couple things about like teaching, about coaching, because that's the up until this point, that's the only other option that I've heard that you sound passionate about. When you talk about coaching, although you might have not been doing coaching for the last little bit, you've been a professor, which I still think you're a coach. Because as a professor, we coaching all the time. Right. And so that's the one other thing that I heard you talk about. But I really want to just dive in real quick. You mentioned that you have a lot of people depending on you, but I'm also heard you say, and I probably know this from some of our other conversations, is that you liked teaching in person,
Hmm.
right? So can you explain the dichotomy of that right now to me? Because you were once in person, that's what you loved about that job, but
Mm-hmm.
now you have a lot on your plate, you have a lot of people's schedules that you're juggling,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it may prevent you from certain opportunities. So it's just talk through that a little bit with me.
Yeah, and that is one of the things. Most of the positions that I do typically look at, I still have just been, um, I still apply for the online positions just to keep the doors open, because at this point, getting opportunities, or at least giving opportunities for an interview, or finding out what the market is looking like. The second thing I look more at are the adjunct positions, because adjunct is typically more flexible, where if I needed to work in a morning, or I could work different classes, it would be able to work around a specific schedule, where if I needed a morning or I needed an evening, or sometimes they have you in a on ground capacity, but then hybrid where you can actually teach online. I like online if it gives the physical interaction. If you have the opportunity to have, such as this, a video or an actual conversation. The environment that I was in was strictly online, and you never actually physically interacted with a human. It was more robotic in that sense, and that doesn't match my values. And I think that was the biggest challenge, where I am an introverted person, but when I'm in the classroom, when I'm at my work, I'm at my best. I'm an extroverted person. I know where I'm good, and I know what I can do, and I enjoy that. That's my passion. As you mentioned, you hit the nail on the head. That is who I am. I love it. It's a true, genuine, putting me in a classroom, giving me a textbook, giving me something to teach students, and watching their face light up when they learn something new. I was just like, oh, I love those light bulb moments, and it fills me. It fills my cup, and it's a true, genuine passion for mine. And I feel that being in the classroom allows that to happen. And I prefer upper level. I prefer college level, but that's just kind of the dynamics. And I know even with coaching, it's still, at least you have the video options, you still have the human connections. And I think that's what I love about it. As you said, there is the blending where, as a professor, you do a lot of coaching, you do a lot of advising, you do a lot of that connections. And I still, to this day, I have a lot of my former students from decades ago that I still am in contact with, and they still follow up with me. So I take great pride in being the best that I can, but also developing those collective relationships where even, 15 years down the road, you still follow up and say, hey, I want to share this with you, or what do you think of this? Or I'd like to have a recommendation that, it makes me feel proud that I was part of their journey.
I love that. I love seeing you light up when you're talking about teaching and being in a classroom as well. I mean, I think there's nothing better than doing the work you love and loving the work you do. And so I love that aspect of it. So you said that that is something that you still love. Now, is that something that you could feasibly still do with the schedule that you have now? Because that has been a thing that I think has been a difference or has been updated since we last talked.
Yeah. Yeah. There are still opportunities, again, as long as it's, right now I've been looking more in the adjunct perspective, but if I was able to get a full-time position and know what other people's schedules were well in advance, perhaps I could do that when you're working around childcare and you're working around, care for, elderly. It's one of those things where sometimes you have to have that innate flexibility. And as a faculty member, sometimes you do have that, but then sometimes here's your classes. Your classes are days and nights and weekends. And a lot of times those are times where I can't commit to that because I have other obligations. And so what I do is I apply to the positions where I know I would have that flexibility to be there, because family is important to me. And I want to be able to have that opportunity and have that flexibility. And I think the other thing is the burnout.
Yeah.
I want to prevent the burnout, because that's what I had 2.5 years, and I got burnt. And I think that was the biggest thing, where my passion for teaching, it was just kind of, oh my gosh, I would dread going to work every day. I was just like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. And when you start to dread that, then it's time to go. It's time to find something else that fills your cup, that helps you grow, and you can be replanted. And I even, where I was working, I even asked him, I was full-time, and I said, I would love to stay, but I need to go part-time.
Okay.
That wasn't an option. They said, unfortunately, that's not an option. And if you want to, then we have to let you go, and you can't apply back until 6 months. So you have to be unemployed for 6 months before we would even consider you. And that's if we consider bringing you back. And it's just kind of like, okay. It just shows the true colors, the values of the company. And you just have to kind of reassess that. That's not what I'm about. I enjoy what I do, but if you can't help support me to be my best at my job, unfortunately, I do have to find something else. So it's been extremely, extremely challenging. And you want to feel that you are making a difference and you are bringing your best when you are at work. You don't want to just feel you're digging a trench and you're just going through the motions. And that's not how I am. And I love teaching. I've taught all over the world, and that is genuinely my passion. I love it. I love, and that's why that would be that's my preference. But I also know that coaching, like if I do the coaching, it might also offer that flexibility because I can work around a little bit more. That one is less structured in
Mm-hmm.
a different element. So
I love it.
that's why I say I'm at a crossroads. Where should
Okay.
I? What should I do?
Okay. So well, I mean, so we know that you have this genuine love for teaching. It's in your DNA.
Mhm.
Right? Like you've done it for so long. Although you said decades earlier, which I mean, okay.
Yeah, we're going on. I would say I started teaching in my early 20s, so
Oh
we're
wow.
yeah, so it's 20 almost 25 years.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So, okay. So we love teaching. It would be, you mentioned it would be your preferred method, but you also said, okay, there's another choice out there. And there's this
Mhm,
thing called coaching, which,
mhm.
by the way, you have a master's of positive psychology coaching, right? You are newly credentialed with the ICF. Let's talk about coaching. What is it about coaching that you think it would work in this situation?
Um, I definitely I've it's been something I've always done. It's always been part of any job I've ever taken, any profession, all my training. I have multiple degrees in psychology. I have a PhD in conflict analysis and resolution. So I genuinely understand communication. I genuinely understand the challenges with helping someone get through something. I think the other element is the opportunities with flexibility and being able to do it at home. That's
Mhm.
another option where I can meet someone that's here and here and here, and I can do all the different elements and have that interaction. It still allows me to have that connection with a human, an actual conversation, a genuine conversation, but also having learning more about my growth. Okay, how can I grow better in this element? How to help them? It's it's not about me. I just like in teaching, it's not about me. My job is I'm a facilitator for information, and that's what a coach is. You're a facilitator to help them open a door. There's a door that's locked that they need help with. So I think that that's one of those things. All the steps are there.
Mhm.
I think, as I mentioned before, I think that that imposter syndrome might be
Mm.
holding me back. I think um, I want to say that I would make a good coach, but then there's still, you still feel that hesitation that, you know, what if this doesn't work? Or what if I don't say the right thing? Or what if I don't help them with the breakthroughs? And again, but reminding them, but that's natural. That's one of
Mhm.
those processes. And, making sure that it's still about them rather than me and my insecurities.
Yeah. Well, why do you have the imposter syndrome right now around coaching?
I believe probably just because I haven't practiced it for a few years. It's just not something that I have done consistently. I haven't. Yeah, I would probably say just feeling out of practice. It's kind of like, when you haven't been in the gym for a long time and the first time
Mhm.
you go, you're not going to run on the treadmill for 20 minutes. They're going to say just walk for 5. Like
Mhm.
ease back into it. And I think that's the thing where um I haven't done it for a few years,
Okay.
and I really, you feel rusty. So, like, was I really good at it, or could I do this, and and so forth. And I think that that's the thing is it just kind of, you sometimes you talk yourself out of good things.
Yeah, we do often, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you have the imposter syndrome. What would help you to get some of that rust off?
I've been I've been in the process of thinking about joining our local ICF chapter, maybe just to kind of get out there and network. I think that if I get out there and kind of network, there's some other stuff. I've been doing a lot of the CEUs or some of the trainings with ICF just to hear some more connections and what some other individuals are doing within the field. And then I've also been listening to a lot of Audible books just about different things to kind of get more elements of practicing. The other thing that I've been trying to do is when I talk to someone or even like my family, I try the curious questioning with him, like to get it a little bit deeper. So I try to practice with those that are closest to me and I feel most comfortable with. And then they just kind of look at me like, stop doing it. Stop.
Doing it again.
Like, I'm not your patient. I'm not your client. I'm like, I just need to practice.
I love it. You're doing it again.
Yeah,
okay.
My 9-year-old just looks at me. She's like, really? Enough.
Mom, seriously. I love it. Okay. So we got going to the ICF and getting more involved and just being around coaching. Cause I do feel like just being around coaches and coaching and coaches absolutely helps. And you mentioned practicing some curious and powerful questions with family and friends. Anything else?
Every day I do get email like from LinkedIn. I get like the coaching things, like possible coaching jobs and opportunities and so forth, just so I can see that it's out there. And then that way it comes through in case something sparks my interest, or maybe I'll do that. I haven't done it yet, but I still look. And I think that's the other thing is it's just keeping my options open and looking to see what is the market like. And just where are things going? And again, I try and keep in touch with you and, Dr. Parsons and so forth as much as I can in terms of like, what's new, what's going on, what are some of the latest trends and what's going on with the conferences and so forth. And I think that when I was studying for the ICF exam for the credentialing, that really helped. Because it wasn't something I had done in a while, but then going back and reviewing the core competencies and reviewing this stuff, but then also watching some of the trainings and how other people, when they took the test, they were like, I've been coaching for many, many years and I didn't do well in tests. Like I had to take the test again. And it just, that kind of reiterates that it doesn't matter how long you've done it. You could be phenomenal at this. A test is a test. Like that does not delineate or determine the success that you're going to have. It's just extra support. And I think that that's essential. That's a key component. And that was pivotal for me because I'm not a good test taker, but when I was able to finally pass, I was like, oh, okay, yes. All right.
Victory.
Yeah. Right. I felt good. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been keeping up with the coaching market and everything like that. Do you have opportunities right now to just coach? Because I know that, I was just talking, me and Dr. Parsons have a group that we run. It's called the Certified Coach Advantage, and it's mentor coaching and everything. And so we were just telling our coaches that they just need to practice. Do you think, getting more practice in will help you with the imposter syndrome?
I believe so. Yeah. I every Saturday I'm part of a women's self-defense group, and we've been doing that from the ground up, and we're trying to help do it. And we all work off each other. And I've been able to help some of the women in areas where they needed to have tough conversations with people, such as, with their boss and getting a raise, or with a family member and saying, enough is enough, just helping them get through certain things. So I've been able to do it on a smaller scale, a little bit more of a comfort level. And I think that that's been extremely beneficial for me. And it's in that small environment. And I think that And again, I also will, I like to watch how like my husband works and how he handles clients and how he does stuff. I always look at him because he's, he's trained in business and finance. So he has that tact and that way about it. So I listened to some things, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to use that. I think I like that question. I'm going to try to do that. But that helps where I can watch other people at play. And then I can say, I like how that was an extremely powerful question, that opened the door and it created enough curious, okay, you've got to now ponder things. You really have to break things down. And I love that. And I love just watching other people coach so I can see it. And then I like to see, okay, well, I don't know if I do it that way because it seems like the shifts aren't happening. And so I try to watch some videos as well too.
I love that. So you're doing a lot. So congratulations on like getting yourself back into the coaching game and everything like that. If you look back on your career or just even when you graduated from school, from coach training school, right? From Life University, what did you think of your ability to coach then?
It was a solid foundation. And I wasn't starting from scratch, but there was always room for improvement because I did more of coaching within an academic setting versus out in the real world. So working with an executive, working with somebody like that. And I think that that's probably where the hesitation comes, is that I have more experience in this area than I do something else. And so venturing out and feeling that I can hold my own and ask the right questions with a CEO or an executive or somebody that needs that breakthrough, I think that that's probably where I'm feeling that hesitation, because I don't know, I haven't done that. And that's not my initial training per se. And it's not been most of my professional experience. So I think that that's been the avenue.
Okay. That now we're getting to like, because I'm like, where are you feeling like lack in this with, it's with executive coaching, leadership coaching, but you do have that. And I don't have to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. You do know that as people, regardless of what industry we work in, we're still people and we still have so many similarities, right? And that's what turned me on to leadership and executive coaching in the first place, because I was strictly the life coaching track when I got to Life University, like so many people. And then when I realized that the same people, those people who have those life problems are the same people who sit in the boardrooms and who are executives. Those are the people who were coaching. It just may look slightly different, but they are the same. How does that resonate with you?
That's important to know that, because you want to see and you say, oh my gosh, how are they able to handle this, or how are they able to do this? And you do think that you would want the training in the business, or training like a business background or something along those lines. But again, similar to how I see it, like at the end of the day, we just want someone to be there on the side. And as a coach, your job is to be a champion, to help them, to listen and help ask the right questions so they have that breakthrough. And that's, I guess, where we got to right now, that's the biggest thing, where feeling that's where the imposter syndrome comes in, where if I venture out or if I try this, do I have what it takes? Can I help them meet what they need if I don't have all the stuff? Because you get used to applying for jobs and they say, like, here's the minimum qualifications, or here's what you have. And, you kind of see, like, I'm applying for this job and I have this, but then do I really meet the qualifications? So I think I'm taking myself out of the race before I should.
I look, thank you so much for
No.
right. Stop doing that. No, it's so true. I think like especially as women, I'm gonna go there because there is a difference a lot of times where we'll see a job application, we'll be like, up, I don't meet 100%, so I'm not gonna apply. Versus, men a lot of time like, I don't meet 50%, but I'm still gonna apply. Right? I just think that a lot of times we're just not as confident as we could be in our abilities. And I see that in you. Like I know you. I know your coaching ability. I've been around you for so long. You are a fantastic, fantabulous, amazing freaking coach. And I think anywhere or anybody that you coach would be would benefit so much from what you have to offer. So
Thank you.
you're welcome, friend. All right. So with that being said, because we are heading towards getting towards the end of our conversation. With that being said, where does coaching sit in this equation? Because our equation is teaching coaching, right? That's kind of what you brought to the table. Where would that sit now after we've had this coaching conversation?
I think what I'm going to do is, as I said, I do have daily job postings from LinkedIn that come into my inbox. Maybe actually taking a step further and really diving into those, maybe printing some out and kind of tailoring and saying, okay, is this something I can do? What are they looking for? Different things. Or even if it's not the coaching, maybe looking at some job opportunities at universities where I could utilize my ICF certification. Because there are some where in order to be an academic coach, you have to be ICF certified. So there's other elements where I can have that and maybe blend the two, where I have all this training in higher education or academics, but then I could blend it so that maybe I could get enough of a practice to feel the build up where if I wanted to venture back out and do it on a larger scale or more the higher executive scale. But I think just start looking at some of the job postings of what they're looking for. And then maybe read reviews of these different coaching companies, because that is essential. You can have them, but if the clients are reviewing them and not feeling that they are getting where they want to be, and that's also twofold, because sometimes the clients don't want to put the work in, but just kind of looking at it where what are some of the reviews and what is it that they are specialized in, and how the programs, the prescriptions, what do they do, and does it fit with my experience or my expertise or what I could bring to the table. I think just kind of seeing maybe I have a niche or experience that I can bring to the table that another coach doesn't have.
Absolutely. I mean, hands down. Right? Absolutely, you do. Hands down, right? I love that because I think that coaching, and teaching are just wide open for you. And, I was wondering what your thoughts around doing both were, right? Like, and you just mentioned that you could potentially find a teaching job that that has a coaching element. But I'm also thinking about like, what do you think about, because doing both, because you also mentioned you were looking at a lot of adjunct positions. To me, that wouldn't keep you from also coaching. So I wanted to get your thoughts around what that looks like.
Yeah, I've thought about that, as long as I could fit them both into the schedule, because I do know some coaching companies require you to do 20 to 30 hours. And so as long as the hours or the commitment that I could give to them wouldn't interfere with the hours that whatever my assigned classes are, because usually when you're teaching, they set, okay, you have to be in class from this day to this time. So that one would take precedence, and just kind of working around that. So if they were allowing me to do between 10 to 20 hours and still allow me to do that. And that's one of the key things, because I know sometimes some of the coaching programs or coaching companies, they say, you must do so many hours, and that's fine. But if I trying to make sure that I'm balancing to be able to have time to do both. I think that that's one of the commitments. So if I could do maybe 10 hours a week at some place, that would be good, because then if I have to do 10 hours teaching,
right,
that's a good balance.
okay. So you have a baseline. What is what I'm hearing is like you just talked about. Okay, so I could potentially do both if this happened. I could do one or the other, those kinds of things. Okay, I love this. All right. Well, we're coming to, wrap up our session, but how do you feel like we hit what you wanted to hit in this call?
I think so. I think that it was hard for me to say it out loud. And I think that that's one of the key things, is like, I felt it, but once you say it out loud, that you feel this, because again, you think, oh my gosh, I you have it in your head that, why do I feel this? I've gone through all this. I've done all these trainings. Like, I have this stuff. I've done this for years, but at the end of the day, I'm still human. And coming to the realization and admitting, yeah, because I don't have this particular training, specifically business or something like that, but just putting myself out there, maybe just to say, give it a try. You don't know, you may be able to have that connection that somebody else might not already come in with, like a bias.
Yeah.
I may have a clear perspective that somebody else says, my training and my program and so forth, because that's the important thing, is making sure as a coach, you don't have that bias lens, that you're coming in with being open, accepting of what they're bringing to the table, very Rogerian, you meet them where they are. And I think that that's one of the key things, is that I'm able to do that. I accept you for what you bring to the table. And I think that that's the key point. So now that I've talked it out, that's why I said the springboard. Now that I've talked it out, it helps me to say that, okay, yeah, you're the one holding yourself back. So let's do this. So you've got to just look at one of the jobs and just apply to one, maybe, and just start there. And if no one calls you back, or even if you get an interview, then that's great. You open the door. And if they don't take you, then at least you learn something from them, and then you can try the next one, because it's been a lot of no's, where nobody calls you or something like that. The job market is just absolutely horrendous nowadays. And it's just very disheartening when you just are constantly applying, and it's a ghost listing, meaning that they're just creating an applicant pool and they really don't want to apply or hire anybody. It's just, okay. All right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally understand you. And I just want to, share this with you, is probably, I don't know, a lot of our clients, my clients, I don't know exactly what they do. Like, I mean, if I was to have to get put in their actual jobs, I don't know it. I know about business in general, because of course I'm an entrepreneur, but if it took for us coaches to know exactly what our clients do to coach them, then none of us would probably be coaches. Right. So I just want to give you that reassurance. And I learned that from kind of like a Tony Robbins a long time ago, where he said that he was coaching people that had far more money than him. Right. But he wasn't coaching them on their finances. He was coaching them on other things like leadership and just different stuff like that, like things that really matter. And I mean, you can get to a place and be a bazillionaire, and if I'm not that doesn't mean I still can't coach you. That doesn't mean you still don't bring something to the table. So I just wanted to kind of, give you that, because I mean, I don't know how to do the job. So half of my clients, and that's okay, because I'm still a great coach at the end of the day. So in this session, tell me something you might have learned about yourself.
That I can probably do a lot more than I think I can, and that I'm not. I'm not relegated to just a professor. That coaching is definitely a viable option, and I think that's the thing. Is I went through and I did all the stuff. I have a master's in it. I did the training. I've done the certification. So I've done all the stuff that I need to. Now it's just this. And I did at the prior to COVID, I had my own coaching business and I had clients and I had all that stuff. I unfortunately had to shut it down with COVID. And as a lot of people, they lose their business. And then when I went into my full-time position, I wasn't allowed to do it because it was a conflict of interest. And I think that was the other thing is that when you took that away from me, I had to decide. It's like taking a limb from someone, like, okay, so now you're only allowed to use your left arm. You can't use your right arm. And I was like,
wow.
Who does that? Like,
No.
okay. So I think that's the other thing is that when you cut it off. And so I learned that it was probably more part of me than I actually gave credit for, just kind of putting it to the side. And it's probably just as much a piece of me as the teaching is. And maybe I need to, reignite that little ember, just keep it going, see what happens.
You don't understand how happy I am to hear you say that. Because like I said, I think you're like an amazing coach. And so so tell me one of your main goals that you're going to take out of this call today, because we talked about a couple of different ones, but I want to know the main goal that goals that you're going to take out of this session today.
First one is I'll probably look at the job listings, the ones that are being sent through for coaching, and just kind of go through them and start applying. That's probably one of the things, is because I won't know until I put myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take myself out of the race if I don't actually enter. And then start looking for maybe other positions that could incorporate both. Okay. That it may be back in that advising side or the academic coaching or something like that. The only thing that's been hesitation for me with that is just for the simple fact that I love teaching so much, and once I'm there and I'm in that, it doesn't allow the teaching element. So that's kind of one of the things where I get pigeonholed, where I can't do as much coaching as I want, and then I have no teaching. So then it's just kind of like, oh, so that's probably been the one where it's been the most hesitation. But if it helps me get the experience and maybe get in the door, that's one of the ones I'll probably have to weigh the consequences or the rewards, like the gifts and the curses with.
Yeah. Well, I'll share with you just another, fact. I have a client who does academic coaching who also still teaches.
Okay.
So just, I know that like a lot of times we might not know that there are other options, but he does academic coaching and he does still teach.
Okay.
So
that's good to know.
There may be some opportunities to still do both. All right. Awesome. So, how will you hold yourself accountable for doing these things?
I will, obviously I'll tell my husband, because my husband, he keeps me accountable. He'll say, how's progress going? Did you feel like you need anything? Because he'll say if I need to contact someone, that maybe I might have a connection, or or he'll try to talk things through me, and I'll say, okay, well, what do you think about this job? And he'll say, well, why? And he'll do practice interviews with me. That's one of those things. I have him as my champion or my cheerleader. And then, of course, my daughter, she'll be like, well, did you do your homework? And, kids are very quick to remind you when you tell them to do theirs. They'll say, well, did you do yours? So I think that's one of the key things, is just like, okay, making sure that I'm being held accountable by those that are in my family.
I love it. And so what I'm also hearing is that you can be accountable to them, and they're also a support to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Well, I literally want to congratulate you for just coming to this conclusion that you can do both. You can still teach, you can become an amazing coach in somebody's company, or you might want to start back your own. Who
Yeah.
knows, right? We didn't get into that. But
Not
I
yet. I
mean,
don't think so yet.
okay. But here's the thing. I think that at the end of the day, the coaching opportunities out there are way more vast than especially when I started off coaching.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of opportunity out there now to get a job as a coach. Whereas when I started, there were no jobs as coaches, right? Like you either started your own business or not. And
Yeah.
so I think that you have a great opportunity to do that.
That's good to
Um, and so
know.
I want to congratulate you for coming to this conclusion and doing the work during the session, because I know it can be hard saying these things out loud,
Mm.
um, and hearing ourselves say them, and you're like, okay, I just said that. All right. So um, congrats on that. And so do you feel like this is a good place for us to end our session today?
I do. I do. I now know what my homework is. My accountability. I have my little accountability partners, so
Yes.
they'll keep me in check, and I definitely will keep you updated on how things are going and what like how many I've applied to or anything that I've come across, and even maybe saying since you've been in the field and seen some of the opportunities,
Absolutely.
what are some possible recommendations or maybe some additional trainings and so forth that I could possibly some avenues I can go down.
Absolutely. You know, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to end our session today. Thank you, Dr. Eugene, so much for your time and your work and your energy in this session.
Thank you.
All right. Now, if you all need support and really want further coaching on your career and your personal life, I would love for you to join us in Happy Women Lead Academy. You can go to kikiramsey.com to find out all the details on how to join. Until next time, y'all, peace.